literally in the middle of my Buteyko breathing, I had this epiphany. With business, right? With business, there are so many more different avenues. Let me get some good light on me. With business, there are so many different things you can do. There are so many different business models. Whereas with cold approach, there's not. And this actually makes cold approach easier because there's fewer options. So I think one of the big problems in business, especially when you're starting out, is you don't know which business model to do. Like, all of the business models work, but the moment you choose one is the same moment that you begin thinking, well, actually, there's a period of excitement. So you're excited to make loads of money, you're excited to whatever. But then after some time, as soon as the going gets tough, you're tempted to change business models, right? This is known as shiny object syndrome, also known as grass is greener on the other side syndrome, also known as the woman in the red dress, right? With cold approach, this isn't the same. Like, with cold approach, I was just thinking, because the reason why I was thinking this is because there were so many parallels between cold approach and business. The main parallel is you don't know that it's going to work, but you keep doing it anyway, and then it works, and then you feel amazing. And I know this is what's going to happen with business. I know that's what's going to happen, even though I had today was just like a day of hell, a day of just doubt. So I think that's a main parallel is just keep doing it, but it's hard with cold approach. Cold approach is easiest to stick to. In my mind, there was no way I was going to quit on cold approach. There was no way I was going to quit on cold approach, and the reason why I wasn't never going to quit with cold approach because there was no alternative. It was like, you have to get good at this. If you don't get good at this, you're never going to get laid. If you don't get good at cold approach, you're fucked. That's the truth. If you don't get good at cold approach, you're fucked. Whereas if you don't get good at one business model, don't worry, there's 10,000 other you can choose from. Do you see what I'm saying? With cold approach, it's either day game, night game, online. That's not really. And the thing is, they all cross over. So, like, if you're no good at day game, you're not going to be really good at night game. If you're really good at night game, if you're really bad at night game, you're probably not going to be that good at day game. So the cold approach, like whether it's day or night, they cross over so heavily. Additionally, your thing that I knew was never going to work for me because I knew my looks were limiting me, and I believe it's the same for most guys, right? So I knew I had to get good at cold approach. Otherwise, what else was there? So and because there was no other option, it made it easier because there was no doubt. There was plenty of doubt. There was no temptation to do something else. Whereas with business, there are tens of thousands of business models. So many. And really, you just have to be all in, and so it makes it hard. I literally just thought that now. But it's so key. In a sense, that makes cold approach easier because there's no temptation to do anything else. But there's plenty of doubt. But even though there's doubt, you know there's nothing else that you can do. You can't stop and you can't choose something else. So you have to do it. Do you get what I mean? You can't stop because if you stop, you die. If you stop, you die. You don't get laid, you die. You're like dying. So that's not an option. You can't do something else because there's nothing else to do. Online isn't an option. Day game is just the same as night. Obviously they're very different, but if you're not good at one, you're not going to be good at another. So that just makes you go all in. That much more. It just makes you go all in. Whereas in business, there's so many other options, and you've got to resist all of them. And of course, you've got the popcorn effect and stuff. You don't really get the popcorn effect in cold approach. With cold approach, if you get mentored, you're just going to kill it from day one. And that's how I think it's so much easier to, with cold approach, with the right mentoring, you will succeed very, very fast. Very, very fast. It's ridiculous. And it's simpler. Cold approach is simpler. It's very linear and very step by step. And if there's a step that you're confused with, you can just ask it and it'll get solved that much easier. Whereas a business, there's so many more moving parts. Business is harder, I'd say. Business is harder. Because business is not even about how clever you are. It's about your emotional strength. It is about how clever you are, but it's about your emotional intelligence and your emotional strength. Your ability to persist. It's different type of intelligence. I get why people who aren't as clever can succeed, because it's just emotional intelligence. But don't get me wrong, Cold Approach was petrifying, and it was, the doubt was sometimes unbearable. I remember at some points it was really unbearable. At some points it brought me to my knees. But both are painful because both are related to your survival. Cold Approach is related to your survival and reproduction. Business is related to money, and money is related to your survival and reproduction and your status. So it's brutal. Failure in either is going to feel brutal. Fear of failure in either is going to be extreme. But both, you need to master both. If you don't master both, you're fucked. If you get a job, you're fucked. If you don't master Cold Approach, you're fucked. That's it.